Just a reminder to always check the description box, and if you find this video too fast, you could always change the playback speed. For this project, we're gonna use 5mm cotton cord, which is available for purchase on my social media accounts. The first thing that you have to do is to measure the circumference of your pot. For my case, I have 26 inches. So this is the same distance from point A to point B. So for this first cord, I cut 4 feet length. Then I will attach 42 cords with 8 feet length each. Once we already attach these 42 cords, now it's time to create our first knot. We'll be working in groupings of 2, so get your first cord, flip this over. We have to make this kind of letter A. Put this behind and through, and then pull it tight. We should be able to make this horizontal line. So we'll just repeat the process, make this letter A, put it behind and through. And then once we created this first row, we're gonna repeat the process in between and start our second row. Once we're done, now it's time to untangle this lark's head knot that we attached on our clothing rack. For the 2 cords here, I'm just gonna simply tie this because later on we're gonna fix this one. Okay, so let me just set this aside. And then we're just gonna continue making our knots using these 2 cords. Once we're done creating our second row, it's time to create another one by making the same knot. So in total, we should be able to make 6 rows of this knot. More or less, it's going to be 2 inches in height. Of course, we have to do the same thing onto the other side. Now that we're done creating 6 rows, Now it's time to move forward on our next pattern. For the next pattern, we'll be working in groupings of 4. We're gonna do a twisted square knot. So we'll just basically twist the outer cords and use it as our inner cord and make a square knot. Let's just make sure that they are on the same level. Then we'll proceed on the second row of this twisted square knot. We will create 4 rows. As you can see, I'm allotting ample space from the first row just so we could still show the twisted cords that we are doing. Now that we're done with the 4 rows of twisted square knot, we're gonna continue making our first knot. So again, we'll be working in groupings of 2. And then since we have kind of a twisted cords here, we'll also do the same thing. So I'm gonna put it on top of each other and then continue making this letter A, put it behind and through. So in this way, we are mimicking these twisted cords on top. And then moving on to our second row. On the second row, of course, we don't have to put it on top of each other and just continue the same process that we did on top. This knot is actually a variation of vertical clove hitch. If on top we created 6 rows, this time we're gonna create 7 rows of this knot. Now down to our last row or our 7th row. Then I divided the rest of the cords into 4 groups with 20 cords each. I also left 1 cord in between. So let me untangle this first group. Okay, and then I'll set aside this 2 cords here. And then I'll start making a square knot. So For the first row, we're gonna have 5 square knots, then 4, 3, 2, and up to the last square knot. Then down to our last knot. This is the same process that we're gonna do with the rest of the groups. So let me transfer to my table. So I already created the same thing onto the other groups. So we have this inverted triangle shape here. So we have 5 square knots here on the side, and then same thing at the back. So we also have 5 square knots up until to the last square knot. The next thing that we have to do is to flip this inside out. We're now gonna close the bottom part of this basket. If you'll notice, we also have a beautiful pattern inside. Let's start on this side. So remember this first cord that we set aside. We're gonna include this as our middle cord, and then we'll get these 2 cords on the sides, and we're gonna start making a square knot. I actually already showed this pattern with other bag tutorials that I have, so maybe you are familiar with what we're gonna do in here. So this outside cord, I'm gonna leave it behind and move forward with the next 2 cords. Just make sure that the next cord is what you're gonna pick and will not miss any cord. Down to our last square knot, we should be able to make 8 square knots. So see this outer cords here and then outer cords from the other square knot. We'll use this to create this last knot. So we will just repeat the same process onto the other sides. So we have 3 more. So we're just gonna repeat this. Okay. So let's start making the same thing onto this side. So we're done creating the 4 sides. So we have 8 square knots here. And then same thing onto this side, we have 8 square knots. And then the next thing that we have to do is to find the middle cords. So get your 3 middle cords here. And then same thing onto this group. Let's get the 3 middle cords. And we'll also do the same thing onto the other two groups. So what we're gonna do here is, let me just set aside these 3 cords on my left and right, and then on top and bottom I'm gonna put it on top of each other. This will serve as our middle cord, and then these cords from the sides, we're gonna use this as our outer cord as we make a square knot. And then pull these cords. To make it secure, I will just add another simple knot on these cords. Then onto the last part. Now it's time to trim the excess cords. I will just leave ample space just so if we need to redo, I still have enough cords to use. Then let's just flip this over. And then fix these 2 excess cords. So I'm just gonna make a barrel knot to prevent from fraying. And then I'm gonna cut it. The reason why I designed it with strap is because I want it to be adjustable. So if you want to adjust the circumference on top, you may do so. Now time to put our plant. And it's perfectly blended with our macrame curtain. I also have a tutorial on that in the description box. Of course, this can also be an expandable multi-purpose basket. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe and see you on my next tutorial.